Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka. Well, it was a fairly volatile session today, but one that ended in the positive zone. So we are heading into the Muhurat trading on Sunday with a positive setup, given the fact that the Nifty has ended above that 19,400 mark. And if you look at the broader end of the markets, the outperformance continues. Both the Nifty mid and small cap indices have ended higher by about 0.5% or thereabouts. Pharma as a pocket has done well today as well. Among the top sectoral movers, 8 straight day of gains coming in on that index. Metals, another pocket that did well, and banks, they managed to stage a very smart comeback from the day's low and ended higher or in the positive zone today as well. If you look at the Nifty gainers, the likes of NTPC, ONGC, Tech Mahindra, Tata Consumer and ITC featured among the gainers today. On the losing end, you had Hero Motocorp, of course M&M after the margin disappointment in the second quarter. You had the likes of HCL Tech and Hindalco. Numbers were a miss when it comes to expectations from the metal giant in the second quarter, and that was clearly reflecting in the stock price as well. But if you look at the broader end of the markets, a lot of result reactions coming in. You had the likes of United Spirits, Z. Despite a good set of numbers, the stock was down and out in trade today. Of course, among the top Nifty 500 losers, mixed signals coming in, or mixed outlook coming in when it comes to the merger. So that's something that weighed in on the share prices of Z. Piramal Enterprises, another one, that reacted to its earnings. But on the flip side, you also had names like Car Trade that zoomed somewhere around 15% on the back of very strong earnings in the second quarter. In fact, I think profit had tripled rather on a YOY basis, and it did see a kind of a 132% surge in its second quarter profit. Muthoot Finance margins disappointed there, and that's why the stock was among the top losers on the Nifty 500. And let's talk about Honasa before moving forward and introducing my guest. Of course, Jefferies has initiated a coverage on the stock. Target price at 520 rupees per share. Remember, the stock at open plunged somewhere around 15% or thereabouts, but it managed to recoup all of its losses. In fact, I think ended the day higher by about 7% or thereabouts. It's really this Jefferies report that triggered the kind of recovery that we saw on the stock coming in around midday or thereabouts. But on that note, let me also bring on board my guest for today. Joining me is Gaurav Bissa of Incred. Gaurav, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in. First of all, wishing you a very happy Dhanteras. Looking at the setup as we step into Muhurat trading on Sunday, would you say that there is scope for more upside? Perhaps Nifty looking at that 19,500 mark on Muhurat day itself on Diwali.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting the show. I present this to you, your team, and your viewers. If you look at the structure of Nifty, if you look at the hourly structure of Nifty as well, you'll see that there has been a strong pullback. So yes, there's a possibility, and if we are to give a hourly close above 19,460, or for that matter, since we have a truncated session, even if there's a 15-minute close above 19,460 spot, then 19,500, 520 will be within reach, and we can conquer that on more trading session. So the structure right now remains positive. Interesting to see how it pans out going forward. But for now, it looks as if it can go towards 19,500.
All right, 19,500 on cards. Given the kind of setup we've had on, the Nifty Bank Index, we've seen volatility. One day it manages to recoup its losses, next day it ends in the negative, and then again, we see some bit of gains. Of course, PSU banks have had a good run, but private banks continue to have this, volatile path going forward. But what is the outlook there? What are the kind of levels? Do you think 44,000? Could be a possibility sometime soon, or do you think it will be stuck in a range for a few more sessions?
It's again interesting to note that we had a double top breakdown, and right now Bank Nifty is trading above that. So till the time we don't see a close happening below 43,600 on the spot side, it can go towards 44,100, 44,200. And from there, we'll see how again that pans out. But for now, it looks as if we'll see some more upside on one trading session.
All right, you can expect more upside on Nifty Bank Index as we move forward. Before we talk about some stocks to watch out for in the new Samvat, I want to get your thoughts on an M&M. Yesterday, the stock was up ahead of numbers, 4% or thereabouts kind of gains coming in on that stock. But today, of course, we saw the numbers coming out. Margins, were below street expectations. And today it is among the top Nifty losers. Going forward, what are the kind of levels you'll be watching out for on this particular auto stock?
You're talking about Mahindra Mahindra?
Yeah, that's correct.
See, it has already seen a very strong upside, and we generally compare how, on a very mid basis, the numbers will affect the stock. But the point I'm trying to make over here is that if you see how it panned out before the numbers were coming, and you'll see that the trajectory was positive. And we have already seen some amount of correction in the stock from levels of 1600 to around 1500 and around. So as long as it sustains our levels of 1400, 1420, I think things should be fine. There might be a small decline, but beyond that, at this point in time, it does not look as if it will break a decisive node. And on the other hand, if we have a close above 1560, then probably we'll have a level of 1700 within reach. So in my opinion, this is the stock which has been outperforming. This is a stock which has been trending very strong, and at high levels, we may see traction picking up. So the downside seems to be limited at this point in time.
All right, that's the view on Mahindra and Mahindra then. But any thoughts on Hindalco? How is it looking on the charts? Numbers haven't been good, but metals as a pocket have had good days in between. So going forward, compared to a Tata Steel, how is Hindalco looking on the charts?
We should be comparing between Hindalco and Tata Steel. I'm not even talking about businesses, I'm talking about chart structures. While Hindalco has a swing breakout above 505, for me, it will be a lucrative buy for 10% once it gives a close above 505. And when it comes to Tata Steel, it looks more interesting for longer term perspective. So any declines towards and then 10 or even below that will be a very lucrative buy. It has a very strong breakout retest, multi-year breakout retest, keeping a stop loss of 95. One can even play for 160, 170 kind of targets. So for me, Hindalco is going to be only a trading play, whereas for Tata Steel, I will be looking to add on declines for a longer term perspective.
All right, that's the view then. But let's talk about some stocks that will be in focus in Samvat 2080. I have a couple of stocks on my list. So let me start with that. ITC features on top of my list, given the fact that, we've seen a good run on the stock, last year, right? The stock managed to break out of that 400 rupee range, which it was, of course, not being able to do. Perhaps that's why it was, among the top meme stocks, so to say. But, of course, this year has been fairly good. We've seen over the last 1 year, the stock has gained somewhere around 20% or thereabouts. And when you talk about the business, the increasing share of non-cigarettes business in its overall profit and revenue, analysts believe that bodes well for the company. In fact, even its FMCG business, it has been doing pretty well, growing at a good pace despite challenges in rural markets, given the fact that rural demand has been patchy. And we've seen the likes of HUL and all the other FMCG giants report single digit volume growth as well. But ITC on the other hand has been focusing in on building its non-cigarette portfolio, innovating with differentiated products, focus on value, premium value added products, and in fact it is also looking at increasing adoption of digital media, expanding its penetration within the markets. So, all in all, things going well for ITC. Even for its cigarette business, things have been fairly stable, given the fact that taxation over the last 2 years have been stable, and that has aided in volume recovery as well when it comes to the cigarette business. So 20% kind of up move, since last year. We've seen the stock move up quite a bit. At one point of time, this stock was clearly stuck in a range, but now it has moved out of that range. So for the next Samvat, say for the next 1 year, with the next 1 year perspective, do you think that it could clear hurdles of 500 or 550 on the charts? Do you see that as a possibility?
As you mentioned at the beginning of this particular question, that there are a lot of jokes around ITC, and I think more or less they have been answered. So now that we know that it is capable of witnessing very strong and robust upside, and let me tell you that this is not the first time the stock has seen a vertical rally. It started the similar kind of vertical rally in 1995. It started a similar kind of vertical rally in 2003. Again, after the COVID, the subprime crash, and then the COVID crash. So it has history of moving very fast. It's just that people don't register that very easily. Having said that, it had a box breakout about 365, 370. For me, it's a good long-term story, and it has a history of giving a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year consolidation breakout, and then 2, 3 years of an upside. So there's still room left. 500, 550 is very much possible. Now, whether to say that whether it will happen within 12 months or 15 months is a different point. But in my opinion, this is something that should be kept in portfolio. There are not many large cap stocks which are looking very strong, where you can expect a 20-30% kind of move happening in matter of few months or a few quarters. And ITC is one of them. There are not many large caps that are in such a strong momentum. So, in my opinion, ITC is not only going to see good upside, but will outperform likes of your Hindustan Lever. So, there is going to be some shift from other stocks, in the same basket to ITC that can also keep it floated. We are not seeing too much of correction. You can always argue that it has corrected 7%, but if you see the kind of move it has seen, from 200 to 500, and after that, if you have a 10% correction, it is negligible. So, in my opinion, a correction towards 400, even lower, will make it extremely lucrative to buy for at least targets of 500, 550.
All right. Of course, there is scope for outperformance even vis-a-vis HUL going forward when it comes to ITC. Since we are talking about consumption space, let's talk about a DMart. Of course, DMart hasn't done all that well over the last 1 year. It has lost somewhere around 8% or thereabouts. If you look at the earnings trends, of course, net profit had slipped in the quarter gone by. But the good part is that the revenue per square feet has been increasing. That means the larger stores have now started to contribute to revenues, right? So that's one thing that could bode well. That's what analysts have to say about this stock. In fact, going forward, do you think there could be some bit of recovery? And the fact that it's such a quality stock, it has seen a dip, but do you think now that post all the correction that we have seen, it has some bit of a scope of improvement coming in going forward over the next 5 to 6 months? What is the chart structure looking like with a 1-year perspective on DMart?
It's about to give a breakout, but there can be some more time correction. This is a stock that one should be looking for, not just 1 year. If somebody has a 2 or 3 year horizon, I think that is when the flavor will actually come out. It is just like you are cooking something, the recipe does not work right away. The fragrance comes once it is cooked very properly. So it may take some more time. There can be some 2 or 3 months of more consolidation. I'm saying there's a possibility. But overall, if you have a 15 months, 18 months of horizon, I think a very good amount of upside can be seen. It can even cross previous lifetime. If you look at weekly charts, it has history of being to higher tops, higher bottom. That is characteristic of an uptrend. So this is more of a time correction. We don't see price correction. So if you look at last 4, 5, 6 months, it has not corrected. It has been time correcting. You can always say that from 2021, from 5,000, it is now down to 4,000, even below that. That is fine. It can also move, fall down by 7 or 10%. But I don't see a major price correction coming in. It's a stock that should be in a portfolio if you have a horizon of at least 15 to 18 months.
All right, look at DMart with a time horizon of 15 to 18 months. That's the view then. But let's talk about the PSU banking pack. PSU banks have, of course, done pretty well compared to the private peers. Of course, private banks have by far, underperformed this year. But in the PSU banking, segment, in fact, the mid-cap PSU banking names that I'm talking about, Canara Bank is one that has stood out. I think in over the last 1 year, this stock has gained in excess of 25%, so 27 to 28% kind of gains coming in. If you look at the company's quarterly performance, it has been fairly strong. Credit costs have come down. Margins, that have been under pressure for some of these banks, given the fact that, of course, deposits are still getting repriced after the string of rate hikes that we have seen. But for this bank, margins have remained steady. Non-performing loan ratio has also been at multi-year lows, and return on equity has also improved over the past few quarters, driven by lower credit costs. Of course, this stock is also trading at a discount to its other PSU banking peers. Kotak Securities has a buy rating on this stock, and it expects a target of somewhere around 425 for the next year. Would you also concur with the kind of target that around 425, 450, or do you think it has scope to outperform further?
Well, as a disclaimer, we came out of the report at the 315, 320 and those levels few months back. It was predominantly technical one, and our targets were 465. So this is our 1 year target. Three months have already gone through. So another 8 to 9 months, I'm expecting the stock to go towards 460, 465. It has been witnessing some amount of time correction towards 360, 385 zone. Once it gives a comfortable close about 390, 392, that itself can give a strong push towards 420. So some part of the targets will be achieved in this particular breakout itself. So compared to other PSU stocks, this is one among the prominent ones which is looking interesting.
All right, Canara Bank of course looks interesting as it also appears to be at a discount to its other PSU banking peers. But the last stock on my list, Gaurav, is L&T. Of course, analysts have pegged this stock as a proxy play, when it comes to, the India's capex story, right? It is, in fact, ICICI Direct's preferred large cap pick in the capital goods space. The earnings visibility, according to ICICI Direct, is pretty strong. In fact, the company is commanding an order backlog of somewhere around 450,000 crore rupees, which is up 22% on a YY basis. It also expects the company to deliver 18.5 and 26.5% kind of revenue and PAT CAGR over FY23 to FY25. Buy rating on this stock from ICICI Direct, target price of somewhere around 3,560 or thereabouts. But of course, slowdown in ordering activity is something that could prove a risk for the company, and margins of course came saw some bit of pressure in the quarter gone by, and that could still remain a risk. In fact, the street is watching out for when the margin recovery will actually kick in. Stock has gained 50% in the last 1 year. Would you say that perhaps stepping into an election year this could kind of lose a bit of steam, or do you think it will continue to perform on all cylinders going forward on the charts?
Somebody wants to play for short term, then I will be a little bit skeptical because it's already moved up a lot. There was a multi-year around 13, 14 year breakout which happened at levels of 2,100, 2,150. And from there, we have seen almost 50% upside coming in. So there has been a very strong move after breakouts. I would not be recommending buying fresh. Any correction can be bought into. There's a simple reason. One, it's in a strong uptrend. Multi-year breakout is there. Second, if you look at BSE Capital Index, that also has seen a very strong breakout, multi-year breakout. So the point is that your index is strong. The larger components of that particular index, they are also looking strong. So these are good stocks or good sector to add on declines, or not buying right away. But if you have, whenever you have a 10%, 15% correction happening, one can add.
All right, look at adding L&T on declines, that's the view. But before I let you go, Gaurav, what are the stocks that you will be betting on for the new Samvat? Or, perhaps you can also share some Muhurat trading picks if you have any.
Yeah, so as far as the longer term picks are concerned, the first recommendation is buy on CMAC Limited. There's a multi-year channel support. The stock has bounced from multi-year channel support, and we expect a robust upside towards 1200, which is the median line of the rising channel. One can keep a stop loss of 700 and buy CMAC Limited. Second recommendation is buy on NMDC. Where we have seen again a 12, 13 year breakout, horizontal breakout, a good consolidation breakout happening. Ideally, we wait for a monthly close, but we have advised our clients to buy some part here and buy a remaining part once the monthly chart confirmation is seen. It can go towards 230. One can keep a stop loss of 145. Third would be a buy on Goldian. This has been consolidating, and now we are seeing early signs of consolidation breakout happening. Volume participation is quite interesting. Trading towards short-term averages, which again shows that the momentum is picking up. One can play for target of 180, keeping the stop loss at 120. As far as Muhurat trading is concerned, then there are a couple of stocks which are looking good. I'd rather stick to one for the time being because markets are indeed volatile at this point in time, which is Questcorp, where we've seen a good breakout. Again, as a disclaimer, we have advised Questcorp to our clients in the closing session. And as long as it sustains above 435, 440, even 445 can be used as a stop loss and play for targets of 505.
All right, those are some of the long-term picks and Muhurat picks coming in from Gaurav. With that, Gaurav, thanks a lot for taking out time and sharing your, Samvat picks as well as your outlook for the next Samvat. But before I let you go, Nifty at 22,000 next Samvat, or would you say there is a case for the index to edge higher from there?
I don't see higher. Of course, it can happen. My
Hmm.
eventual targets are much larger, but rather I would play with 21,000, 21,500 range, and then we can keep on reviewing that whether it's stronger or not. The
Hmm.
point is, that if you play for larger targets, and if there is certain indications that it might not go towards that, people still stick to that very stringently, and you miss out on the exit opportunities. So on that perspective, you can always have slightly lesser expectations, and as and when the market grows, you can
Hmm.
keep on reviewing your target. So as of now, we are playing for 21,500.
All right, 21,500 is what the Nifty could reach by next Samvat. That's Samvat 28. With that, Gaurav, thanks a lot for joining in this afternoon and sharing your outlook for the new Samvat. Here's wishing you a very happy Diwali and a very prosperous new year ahead.
Thank you. Wish you the same. Your viewers very happy Diwali and a very prosperous New Year.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. Here's wishing our viewers a very, very happy Diwali, a very prosperous New Year coming up, and of course, a very happy and very profitable Muhurat trading session as well on Sunday. With that, it's a goodbye from me. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned to Money Control for all your other news and updates.